saw it last night. Paying off before you retire.
So, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Board of Zoning Appeals meeting. And it's Tuesday, August 12th at 6:30. I'd like to call this meeting to order. And if I could ask you to stand and join me with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And Lisa, roll, please.
Mr. Howe,
Here.
Mr. Coleman, Mr. Janduran,
Here.
Mr. Cooper.
Here. Thank you. We have 3 of our 4 board members, so we do have a quorum. We can roll right into old business, which we have none. And so then I'll just go right to the first variance application, variance 25-017. Could I have the staff report, please?
The property in question is 220 Arletta Drive Southwest in Pataskala, and it is zoned high-density residential. Here's an area map of the property. The property is 0.26 acres, occupied by a 2,900 square foot house. The easements on the property are, and they are requesting approval of a variance to allow for a deck to be within the easement. The easements on the property are a 15-foot sanitary easement in front along Arletta Drive, a 5-foot utility easement along the northern side yard, a 20-foot combined utility and AEP easement on the side along Pioneer Way, and a 30 feet of easement combined in the backyard, which is 20 feet of drainage, 10 feet AEP, and 10-foot utility easement. The backyard length is 31.7 feet, so this means that almost the entirety of the backyard is covered with easement. The applicant is proposing construction of a wooden deck that will extend 12 feet out from the rear of the house and be 16 feet wide. It will be 20 feet from the rear property line, 31 feet from the north property line, and 43 feet from the south property line. The deck will cover all 10 feet of the utility easement and will go 10 feet into the AEP easement. According to section 1221.07E1 of the Pataskala Code, decks and patios cannot be located in recorded easements. Here's a site plan of the property showing where they want to put their deck. Right here, and it's hard to see, but showing how far it emerges into the easements as well. The applicant believes the deck will solve safety issues associated with the back porch being only 4 feet long with a 3-foot drop to grade, and thus difficult to navigate. The backyard being covered in easements is a unique physical condition that prevents reasonable use, and the applicant believes the request is not substantial. The character of the neighborhood will not be altered. It would not be detrimental to the public welfare, and the delivery of government services would not be impeded. And the applicant was not aware of the zoning restriction at the time they purchased the property. As mentioned above, section 1221.07E1 states that decks and patios cannot be in recorded easements. The decks are proposed to extend 10 feet into the utility easement and 4 feet into the AEP easement. The applicant did contact 811, which marked an electrical line in the backyard. The proposed deck ends a few feet away from the electrical line. As seen in this picture, the stakes in the backyard are where the deck is proposed to end, and the red line is where the electrical line is marked. AEP was contacted regarding the proposed deck encroaching into their easement and said that they may have additional requirements before the applicant can install. And should the variance be approved, the applicant will need to submit a deck permit to the Planning and Zoning Department and building permit to the Licking County Building Code Department before construction. No other departments and agencies had comments. The surrounding properties are all high-density residential and single-family home. Here are the findings of fact located in the packets. And should the board choose to approve the applicant's request, the following conditions may be considered. The applicant shall obtain all necessary permits from the city of Pataskala and the Licking County Building Code Department within 1 year of the date of approval, and the applicant shall receive necessary approvals from AEP prior to installing the deck. Thank you. I can answer any questions.
Any questions for staff?
So you need AEP's approval, they need AEP's approval to do it, right?
Yeah, to install in the easement.
But is this correspondence says that it needs to be installed outside? Is that your AEP's direction, or?
They said that if they wish to install, they might need additional requirements.
Okay.
Anything else for staff? Good deal. Is there, Ms. Komanek? Would you like to testify or speak? You can just come on up, and if you would face Lisa. That's Lisa over there. Yep, raise your hand so we can swear you in.
Do you swear affirm to testify like this is true, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
And just for the record, if you could give us your name and your address.
Alan Pomanek, 220 Isleta, Pataskala, Ohio.
Oh, thank you. Well, you've heard the staff report. I think you probably got a copy of it. And is there anything that you want to add or clarify for us?
No, I'm hoping we can do it.
Okay,
A
Mike.
little more room on the back of the porch, a little safer, because like I said, it's a little over 4 feet deep. It's 3 feet off the ground, and when the grandkids are over, we have 4 grandkids aging from 4 years to 13 years. We'd like to have a place where all of us to hang out and, and feel safe. There's a drop off.
Our concern here strictly is that, being a new development, you probably haven't been in the house all that long at this point, I imagine.
What's that?
How long have you had the house?
We've been there since April.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a brand new development, and we have the easement, so there is, should we approve it, there is a condition that you'll need to get approval from AEP.
Okay. Well, I understand they were out, they marked their line, and they saw that we were 3 feet, our end of our deck was 3 feet away from their
Right.
paint line, and he thought that this would be, it wasn't being on top of it. If they needed to do it, they can get to it and
Right.
with no problem.
Understand, as long as you got that, I think you probably need to have that in writing with them or something, so when you go for your permit on it, just so it's all clear that you're not.
Okay, yeah.
And that's really all I've got. Does anyone have anything else for Mr., let me see if I pronounce it right. Komanek? Komanek, sorry.
I assume that, just to make sure that you're aware of that, if this does get built there and then they need to come in and do something, like AEP could come in and tear your deck out and you'd be responsible for rebuilding.
I'm aware of that, and we talked about it with him, and when he measured, it's like I said, just about 3 feet away from us, and he figured if they did have to come and put a new wire in, they might have to dig a foot of it, and, yeah, I understand we'll lose our sod, but, I mean.
Right, yeah.
So he wasn't really, didn't seem like he was too concerned about it.
But
We're not, I mean, yeah, we could have wanted to put a 20-foot deck back there.
Right.
And they'd be over top, and I don't.
Yeah.
We don't need that much space.
understand, it's just, we want to be sure that you understand that should something happen in the future, would God forbid it does, you'll be responsible for the
I am
repairs.
fully, and I said, if he needs to dig under, I'll get a picket show out there and I don't care.
Well, I'm sure it won't come to that. You never do know.
I'm retired, I have nothing to do.
Very good. Anything else for Mr.
No,
I have nothing.
Okay, you go ahead and have a seat, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Unless there's a lot of other discussion, I'm going to just jump right into findings of fact. You
Yeah.
comfortable with that?
Yep.
Okay, findings of fact, variance application 25-017A, whether the property in question will yield a reasonable return, or if there could be a beneficial use of the property. Obviously, it's a residential property and has a beneficial use, I would say.
Yes.
B, whether there are unique physical circumstances or conditions that prohibit the property from being developed in strict conformity with the zoning regulation, such that a variance is necessary to enable the reasonable use of the property. I think that the easements are in fact, maybe not physical, but I guess I can consider them a physical
I agree.
circumstance or a condition. Yes, they need a condition. So yes for B. C, whether the variance requested is substantial. I mean, based on what I've read, I don't think it is. I don't really have a percentage.
No, 10 foot into the.
Yeah. We're comfortable with no?
I am.
Okay. D, whether the essential character of the neighborhood would be substantially altered, or the adjoining properties would suffer a substantial detriment as a result of this variance. And I don't see either one of them being affected in the negative.
Agreed.
Okay, so D is no. E, whether the variance if granted will substantially or permanently impair the appropriate use or development of adjacent property. It's not infringing on the property line at all. So I'm going to say no. F, whether the variance, if granted, will be detrimental to the public welfare. Again, there's no negative effect that I could see. And G, whether the variance, if granted, would adversely affect the delivery of government services. Again, no. I mean, there's access on two sides of road for government services. H, whether the property owner purchased the subject property with knowledge of the zoning restrictions. I believe in the packet, it said that they did not know.
Agreed.
So they purchased it with the knowledge of this. No. I, whether the property owner's predicament can be obviated through some other method than variance. I'm going to put no because of the, I mean, if you're going to build,
It's all easement in the back.
Roll back yards and
it
easements.
doesn't look like, yeah, you have a whole lot of choice back there. J, whether the variance if granted will represent the minimum variance that will afford relief and represent the least modification possible of the requirement at issue. I'm comfortable with yes on that. Okay. And K, whether the spirit and intent behind the zoning requirement would be observed and substantial justice done by granting the variance. Again, I'm comfortable with yes on that.
Agreed.
Okay. Variance application, or findings of fact, variance application 25-017. We have yes for A, B, J, and K, and we have no for C, D, E, F, G, H, and for I. That being said, if there's no more discussion, can someone make a motion?
I'll move to approve a variance from section 1221.07E1 for variance application VA 25-017 with the following conditions. Number one, the applicant shall obtain all necessary permits from the city of Pataskala and the Licking County Building Code Department within 1 year of the date of approval. And number two, that the applicant shall receive necessary approval for AEP prior to installing their deck.
Thank you. Got a motion? Can I get a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll please.
Mr. Dan Moran,
Yes.
Mr. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Howe.
Yes, thank you. Variance application 25-017 has been approved with conditions. Comniacs, good luck with the new home. Hope hope your family enjoys. And you don't have to stay for the rest of the meeting if you don't want to. Okay, moving on to variance application 25-018. And if I could get the staff report.
The property is located at 14617 Morse Road and is zoned rural residential. The applicant is requesting approval of two variances from section 1227.05B. First, to allow for a lot split that would create two lots less than the minimum lot size. Second, to allow for one lot to be less than the minimum required lot width. This is the area map of the property. The current lot is almost 5 acres and has a frontage of 490 feet along Morse Road. It is occupied by a 2,500 square foot house built in 2000 and a shed built in 2019, accessed by a driveway. The applicant is proposing a lot split to create two lots. The new lot would be almost 3 acres and have 272 feet of frontage along Morse Road. It would be undeveloped with no existing access to Morse Road. The residual lot would be 2 acres, have 217 feet along Morse Road, and would be occupied by the existing house and driveway. The existing shed is planned to be removed. Section 1227.05B states that every lot in the rural residential zoning district should have a minimum width of 250 feet and a minimum lot area of 5 acres, exclusive of street right-of-way. This is the proposed survey and site map of the property showing the proposed property lines. The applicant believes that the request is not substantial, the character of the neighborhood would not be altered, and the delivery of government services would not be impaired. The applicant believes that the property remaining as a single lot would limit its reasonable use. And the applicant knew of the zoning restrictions when purchasing the property, but recognized the inconsistency between the code and development patterns in the area. As mentioned above, section 1227.05B states that every lot in the rural residential district should have a minimum width of 250 feet and a minimum lot area of 5 acres. The first variance is to allow the creation of two lots under the minimum 5 acre lot size, the new lot being almost 3 acres and the residual lot being 2 acres. The second variance would be to allow for the residual lot to be under the 250-foot minimum lot width, 217 feet, which would be a reduction of 13% from the requirement. Almost the entirety of the lot is covered by Zone 8 floodplain, except the existing house location. The buildable area of the proposed new lot lies entirely within the floodplain. Future development must adhere to Chapter 1257 of the code and must obtain a floodplain development permit. Should the variance be approved, a minor subdivision application will have to be submitted, which would include a survey completed by a registered surveyor in Ohio of all parcels subject to the minor subdivision, showing the complete proposed layout of each parcel, acreage, dimensions, easements, and floodplain. And this is a map of how much of the lot is covered by the floodplain. A floodplain permit, the city engineer states that a floodplain permit to build the house and USACE permit to build for the driveway installation will most likely be required, and the Licking County Health Department required an application for a lot split to be submitted to them, as water and sewer services will be provided on site and not connected to public utilities. The surrounding properties to the north, the surrounding properties are manufacturing, and to the south, west, and east, they are single-family residential. These are the findings of facts listed in your staff report. And should the board choose to approve the applicant's request, the following conditions may be considered. The applicant shall address all comments from the planning and zoning staff, city engineer, and the health department. The applicant shall clearly indicate the floodplain on the survey as part of the minor subdivision applications to ensure prospective buyers are aware of risks associated with the lot. And the applicant shall obtain all necessary permits from the city of Pataskala within 1 year of the date of approval. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for the team? If not,
The lots to the
Wes.
west, are those in that same district, or are they in a different district?
I believe they're rural residential as well.
I don't know
you. We do have a speaker request form for Mr. Matt Stewart. And if you could raise your hand and Lisa will swear you.
Where additionally not is true, or should be nothing else to
Hi, my name is Matt Stewart. I
Can
need,
I'm sorry, Mr. Stewart, just, I got your name. Can I get your address for the record?
yeah, 14679 Morse Road.
Perfect, thank you.
All right, thanks, Sean. So real quickly, I don't think we take umbrage with the splitting of the lots. That's not why I'm here. I think the narrowing of the home lot of the current site, fine, that sounds great. The secondary lot, which they're looking to split, the concerns that we have, the Swisher stream runs right through there. That stream goes all the way down into New Albany. So recently, they tore up the road. They had to bring in the Corps of Engineers from Franklin County, spent hundreds of thousands of dollars just to divert that stream to a different direction. And it took them 6 months to do so. That was a huge undertaking. The reason why is that Swisher stream fills up to almost 4 to 5.5 feet of water when it rains. It is really a heavy flow when it comes through there. We do have the off years that actually floods, and you can see from the floodplain and the demonstration in there, it does get pretty heavy. My concern is that secondary lot, if we have the stream on there and we put a house on there, or it gets sold to someone to upgrade to put a house on there, where does the septic go? Where does the water go? And then it puts us into the understanding that we've got to trust in a contractor or a home builder to do the right thing. We have to trust that they're not going to come in there with a backhoe during the winter time or during a dry season and think that they can just divert this themselves, where we have the Corps of Engineers actually doing it and taking a long period of time. That would flood the entire stream down there. With all the building that has gone on recently, with all the commercial, that water has been diverted through there and it fills up quite easily. I think, and I don't mean to go too deep into the weeds, but I have concerns about the properties behind it were sold to the Kenton Group. They were split lots, which is great. We love the idea of gentrification. We want this. We've tried to add to it ourselves. But that has been well over a year. The dilapidated house that's falling in on itself was never torn down. The buildings were not torn down, and they were used as commercial rental property. And they had a sign out front that was leasing it to folks who could use there for a storage unit. That's been the way it is for the past couple of years. So I understand when I receive feedback from the city that people will do the right thing and they'll follow the rules. We've seen where that doesn't always apply. So my concern is with the secondary lot, if we do split that, there's an understanding that it's going to be built on by maybe themselves, and they go through the steps and they do all the proper steps, or it gets sold off to someone else to develop it, and now maybe they don't follow the rules, they don't tear things down, they don't do this, they don't do that. So I'm concerned that this isn't going to be followed out. We've been living behind that other property for many, many years, and everybody's fine with it. It's no harm, no foul, it's a rat trap, but it is what it is. This one, it can flood all the houses on there, and that's where our concern comes in, is the flooding. Okay?
I appreciate your concern. I understand that.
Okay.
Purpose of this board is to determine whether the splitter can happen.
Right,
Future of it would then come under a different
it
board
does,
and
but I
different
think it
permitting.
becomes the responsibility of this board, and that's why I came today, that splitting that makes an assumption. Why would I go through all the damn steps to split this if I can't utilize it? They're not gonna make it a dog park. They're gonna split it so there can be profit made. I would do the same thing.
And I think
we're making
that assumption is
inference that
valid.
agreeing to that.
The assumption's valid, and we have to trust that the proper procedures will be permitted correctly. A permit will not just be given for it to build a
I'm with you,
floodplain,
and we've seen permits get handed out and they don't get followed.
but that could happen today.
It could, and that's why I came
And
to
so-
what's right.
So there's really no difference as far as that is concerned. If someone's gonna violate the law, they could go and start building a house over there tomorrow.
100%. And I
Totally
think that's
against
why
what
we
we're
try to
doing.
do the due diligence
So-
of speaking up in advance and waiting for the bad to happen.
And what we hope that doesn't happen, obviously.
We
But,
can hope, but I can show you that hope doesn't really pay off a lot. I mean,
Okay.
especially with this situation, we've seen where it hasn't followed to the letter.
And I appreciate your concerns and your experiences, and I empathize, but again, what this board is considering is not that.
Correct, and that's what.
And we really can't
It's
take,
just the inference that's
Yeah.
made, if you're gonna split that.
Yeah.
Why are we splitting it?
Yeah.
And then we need to make sure that Swisser is covered up and taken care of, because that is going to be a liability for everybody on that road.
And
And
that's,
we've been living through the construction, we've been living through everything.
that's a liability whether we split it or not. And it's very important that that is maintained for all, for everyone. I certainly agree. But then again, that's different issue, different
I know, and
people.
it seems like I'm getting ahead of my skis, I'm with
Yeah,
you on that.
yeah.
But if you don't come and vocalize at the beginning, you're the guy at the last, and I'm not looking to throw salt.
And,
in the
no, I said I
area.
appreciate it. Unfortunately, I just can't rule based on that.
I'm with you.
Yeah, I appreciate your comments and they're well received.
All right, thanks you guys, I appreciate your time.
My pleasure.
And I think there's a representative of the applicant here as well.
Very good. And let me just go to that page real quick. Should have looked at that. Is Mr. Reed? Is that right? And if I could have you sworn in.
I'm sorry for any testimony about the truth. I hope you can never let you say that.
I did.
And can I get your name and address, please?
Yes, sir. My name is David Hodge. I'm an attorney with the law firm Underhill and Hodge. Our address is 8,000 Walton Parkway, Suite 120, New Albany, 43054.
Thank you.
And I am here this evening on behalf of Ashton Reed, who is the owner of the property sitting on my right shoulder.
Very good.
Appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight. Also appreciate the commentary from the neighbor, and certainly understand those concerns. Mr. Howell, I think that your response was appropriate, and I know that the commentary in the staff report and the conditions placed upon this are also appropriate. Mandating that there is additional oversight related to the floodplain area of the property. Mention of the engineer, of the floodplain administrator, and also the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers that has oversight over these things. And so anything that happens on this property will certainly have to endure that scrutiny, and will have to be proven up through the various regulatory agencies that are involved with development over here. Ashton, since he's acquired this property, is over there improving the existing house that you see kind of up the northwest side there. Built about 30 years ago, and not a whole lot of TLC put into it over the course of the 30 years. So Ashton is improving, the landscaping has gone into the interior of the house, and is spending money modernizing the interior of the house. He's young, obviously, and a little entrepreneurial, and sees this as an opportunity to come in here and create this lot split, to gussy up that existing house, to probably resell that house, and to create this adjacent lot, subject to all of the other regulatory requirements, and provide an opportunity for somebody else to come out here and build an estate lot on the south side of Morse Road. When you look, and I think Mr. Cooper, it was you that asked the question previously, when you look at the parcel configurations of the adjacent properties, those to the west, I think you asked about the zoning of those properties to the west. It is unusual. Those are in this same district as RR. Those are probably long standing legal non-conforming lots over there, because they are well below the 5 acre minimum. The lots that we seek to create here are consistent with the essential character of the neighborhood. Will not create any detriment to any surrounding property owner. Will not create any burden on governmental services, and seems to me anyway to really create an opportunity for an excellent location for a great new estate lot. Well in excess of 2 acres, almost 3 acres here in the city of Pataskala. I'm here to answer any additional questions. Certainly will exchange information with adjacent property owners after the meeting for any follow-up that they'd like to do. But our position is that this does meet the Duncan factors in your code, all of the standards around the area variance. And we respectfully request that the board approve the variance request. And between Ashton and I, we'll do our best to answer any questions that anybody has.
Thank you, Mr. Hodge. Any questions for Mr. Hodge?
No.
I don't have.
So just to clarify, the purpose of the lot split is to sell off the second lot.
That's correct.
vacant lot. And should we approve this, we would have a condition that is well, I mean, that floodplain is well marked as far as the surveying of the lot. And so there's
Absolutely.
no question on what they're buying.
Without a doubt, we've got to comply not just with Pataskala's regulations regarding floodplain, but also the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. And so we'll do, we're not looking for any trouble. We want to come in here and do this absolutely right and not create a situation, certainly for us or for anybody else.
Okay. Anything else for Mr. Hodge?
I don't think so.
All right, thank you, sir. Appreciate that. We do have a condition here in there saying that it would indicate floodplain in the survey and address the other question. So if that's the case, any other discussion before I move to findings of fact?
Is it technically possible that we split this lot and they come in and they say, can't build on that?
So there's different ways they could go about it. When FEMA develops the floodplain, it's kind of broad strokes. So you can go and get an engineer and determine specifically where the floodplain is, so they can shrink and get bigger. And then you can do a letter of map amendment through FEMA to say, we engineered, this is the site specifically with the floodplain. So you can do that. Then of our floodplain regulations, that if a house were to be built here, it has to be built above the base flood elevation. So stilts, if you cover the bottom, you can have flood vents. There's certain things that allows water to move freely through there when that area floods. So that would be required as part of a permit before they even build the house. So that has to all be squared away and meet those requirements before a permit can be built.
For the new owner of
For
the
a house
property.
with a new
Or any
The
new
thought with the condition was we want to make sure that anyone looking to purchase that property is well aware
Of
that
that.
it is covered in floodplain. That we don't want something- Our hope is someone does not buy it and not realize it, and then realize the added cost up front. And then if they do have a mortgage on the property, they'll be required to have flood insurance for the duration of that.
That-
So we want to make sure that if this is looking to be sold to a prospective buyer, that that information is readily available on the sale.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to move to findings of fact, variance application 25-018. Sure I got the right one here. Okay. A, whether the property in question will yield a reasonable return or if there can be a beneficial use of the property. I mean, obviously there can. There's a lot of conditions that make it happen. But
Yeah. Okay, yes.
A is yes. B, whether there are unique physical circumstances or conditions that prohibit the property being developed in strict conformity. Zoning regulations such as variance is necessary to enable the reasonable use of the property. Obviously, it's a floodplain. Although we're talking more about split than the use of the property right now.
Right.
So I don't know that we're actually able to answer this based on what we're considering. But what's your all's
I'd
thoughts?
say no.
I lean towards no as well.
There are unique physical circumstances that prohibit the property. Yeah, they can, it certainly can be developed, but it's not as easy as some properties. C, whether the property variance requested is substantial, and we're talking about going 5 down to,
13%, right?
did you say
For frontage,
Frontage was
Oh,
41%.
Yeah.
frontage? We're 41% on the lot size, so we're gonna say no on substantial.
58.8% of the
58.
size requirement. So I would say yes.
That would be a yes. Okay. D, whether the essential character of the neighborhood would substantially be altered or adjoining properties would suffer a substantial detriment as a result of the variance. I don't see that affecting the adjacent properties. We'll say no. E, whether the variance, if granted, will substantially or permanently impair the appropriate use or development of adjacent properties. Again, it's not really affecting the adjacent properties. I'm going to say no. F, whether the variance, if granted, will be detrimental to the public welfare. I don't see any negative there. G, whether the variance, if granted, would adversely affect the delivery of government services. It should be, it's still got 230 or over 200 yards of frontage, I'd say no. Whether the property owner purchases a subject property with knowledge of the zoning restriction. This one, I believe, is yes. Yep. Okay. Whether the property owner's predicament can be obviated through some other method than variance. Not if you're going to split the lot. I would say no. J, whether the variance, if granted, will represent the minimum variance that will afford relief and represent the least modification possible of the requirements at issue. I think so. I would say yes and no. Comfortable with that?
Yes.
And K, whether the spirit and intent behind the zoning requirement will be observed and substantial justice done by granting this variance. Comfortable with yes on that too. All right, variance application 25018. I got yes for A, C, H, J, and K. And I got no for B, D, E, F, G, and for I. That being said, does anybody want to move towards a motion? Is there a motion?
I move to approve the variance request for variance application VA-25-018 with the following conditions. The applicant shall address all comments from planning and zoning staff and city engineer and health department. Applicant shall clearly indicate the floodplain on a survey as part of the minor subdivision application to ensure prospective buyers are aware of the risks associated with the lot. Lastly, the applicant shall obtain all necessary permits from the city of Pataskala within 1 year of the date of approval.
Thank you. Motion, can I get a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Any motion, and a second, there was additional discussion, roll please.
Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. Danderian?
Yes.
Mr. Howe?
Yes. Okay, so variance application, excuse me, variance application 25-018 has been approved with conditions. And you're all set. Okay. Thank you. Okay, moving on to variance application 25-019. Oops. We have one.
I must have sat in the wrong spot.
We ought to sit here.
Well, we can't see them.
He said, Mr. Cooper, I go, oh shit, I sound voice.
Oh, I wondered why he said my name. I'm like, I didn't say anything.
The property is located at 266 South Main Street in Pataskala and is zoned village single-family residential. The applicant is requesting approval of a variance from section 1279.03A1 to allow for a 6-foot fence to be built within the minimum front yard setback of the zoning district. Here's an area map of the property. The property is 0.25 acres and is occupied by a 1,400 square foot house located on the west of the lot along South Main Street and a 720 square foot barn in the southeast corner of the lot. The lot has frontage on 3 rights-of-ways, South Main Street to the west and 2 alleyways to the south and east. The request is from section 1279.03A1 that fences built in the front yard cannot exceed 48 inches or 4 feet in height. The applicant is proposing to construct a 6-foot wooden privacy fence that runs south and west to connect the south facade of the house to the barn, and then northeast and south again to connect the barn to the north facade of the house. The fence will be 40 feet from South Main Street, 0 feet from the north property line, 7 feet from the eastern property line, and 9 feet from the southern property line. And here's a map outlining in red along the boundary where they want to build a fence. The applicant believes that the request would not alter the character of the neighborhood, it would not impair the development of adjacent properties, it would not be detrimental to the public welfare, and it would not interfere with the delivery of government services. The applicant wants their dog and toddler to have full access to their backyard, privacy, and a pool in the future, which would require a 5-foot fence. And the applicant was not aware of the zoning restrictions when they purchased the property. As mentioned above, section 1279.03A1 of the code states that fences built within the front yard cannot exceed 48 inches in height. The lot has frontage on South Main Street and 2 alleyways, which means the lot has 3 front yards. The mandatory front yard setback in the R7 district is 25 feet. The requested variance is for a 64% reduction in the minimum setback to the south, 25 feet to 9 feet, a 72% reduction in the minimum setback to the east, 25 feet to 7 feet, and a 50% increase in the maximum fence height in the south and east, 4 to 6 feet. Other backyard fences in the area have similar heights and setbacks. Should the variance be approved, the applicant will need to submit for a fence permit before construction, and no other departments and agencies had comments. The surrounding properties are all single-family homes. These are the findings of fact located in your packet. And should the board choose to approve the applicant's request, the following conditions may be considered. The applicant shall obtain all necessary permits from the city of Pataskala within 1 year of the date of approval. Thank you, and I am happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. The east side of the fence is going to be the same setback as the barn that's existing. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the 72% of it. And was there on the north side, was there that below setback too?
It's a 0-foot setback from the property line.
0 foot. Gotcha. Okay. Any questions for staff? Nope. All right, do we have Erickson, Mr. Erickson? Yeah, good to have you get sworn.
He swear or affirm to testify like it's true, or to the truth.
And can I get name and address, please, for
David Erickson, 266 South Main Street, Pataskala, 43062.
Thank you. Mr. Erickson, you heard, obviously, the presentation, have a copy of it, I believe. Is there any clarification you'd like to give us or add to that?
Yeah, I'll just mention, so understanding that the alleys count as driveways,
Right.
being on Main Street and wanting to still keep that character of Main Street,
Mhm.
part of what drew us to Pataskala.
Yeah.
And so I understand that as well. And that, so the front, what I would consider the front yard is set back there beyond that frontage off of Main Street. And it's extended out a little ways. And so there's a tree in the front yard as well, which also then covers. And so from Main Street, unless you were really looking, you're gonna drive right past and you can see. And so and that would be the west frontage of my lot. And so then,
Correct.
as you already mentioned, the east, which is where the barn is already there. And then the south frontage is set far back from the front already. And it would just be that short little stint that would then cut back into the yard to connect to our barn.
Gotcha. Okay. And how long have you had the house now?
About 5 years.
Nice.
So,
And you were not aware of the variance requirement?
correct. When we drove through, we saw their privacy fences.
Yeah.
At the time, we only had our 2 older kids, and then having a toddler of 40 is very different than much younger. So
Mhm.
we just would like to have that security, and just being able to run out and have that freedom with having her be safe and then our dog be safe.
Sure.
Running around without chains and that sort of thing.
Very good. Thank you. Is there any questions, Mr. Erickson?
No.
Okay, you're welcome to have a seat. Thank you. I believe there's other homes with similar fences, not far from there.
Yeah.
Any other
Nope.
discussion? Then I'll move right to findings of fact. Variance application 25-019, findings of fact, letter A, whether the property in question will yield a reasonable return, or if there can be a beneficial use. Obviously, that's already in place. So yes. B, whether there are unique physical circumstances and conditions that prohibit that of the property being developed in strict conformity with the zoning regulations, such that a variance is necessary to enable the reasonable use of the property. I believe there are, just the placement of the home on the lot as well, the lot size and the placement of the barn.
Okay.
So we'll say yes. C, whether the variance requested is substantial, and I think by our percentage standards, it's way above
It
that.
is,
Yep,
yeah.
so it's definitely substantial. Whether the essential character of the neighborhood would be substantially altered, or the adjoining properties would suffer a substantial detriment as a result of the variance. I don't think it would.
I don't think so.
Okay, so we'll say no. Whether the variance if granted will substantially or permanently impair the appropriate use or development of adjacent property. Adjacent property, for the most part, is all roads.
It's all road. Yeah.
So I'm going to say no on that. F, whether the variance, if granted, will be detrimental to the public welfare. I believe that would not be the case. G, whether the variance, if granted, would adversely affect the delivery of government services. I think it's still, everything's still accessible, so we'll say no. Whether the property owner purchased the property with the knowledge of the restriction, and he testified that he did not have knowledge. I, whether the property owner's predicament can be obviated through other methods of variance. I'm going to say yes, it could, but it would be very awkward and not very attractive. Eventually, right?
Yeah.
Okay. J, whether the variance if granted will represent the minimum variance that will afford relief and represent the least modifications possible for the requirement at issue. And I think I will say yes on that.
Agree.
Okay. And K, whether the spirit and intent behind the zoning requirement will be observed and substantial justice done by granting the variance.
Yes.
I'm comfortable with yes on that too. Thank you. So variance application 25-019, findings of fact. I have yes for A, B, C, I, J, and K. And I have no for D, E, F, G, and H. Do we have any additional discussion? If we do not, can I get a motion?
I move to approve the variance request for variance application VA-25-019 with the following condition. The applicant shall obtain all necessary permits from the city of Pataskala within 1 year of the date of approval.
Thank you. Got a motion? Can I get a second?
Second.
And a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll please.
Mr. Howell,
Yes.
Mr. Van Ryn,
Yes.
Mr. Cooper.
Yes.
We have our variance application 25-019 has been approved as written and with one condition. Thank you, Mr. Erickson. Good luck with the house. And you have a great night. All right. Okay, moving on to conditional use. 25-004.
Of course. So we are looking at the northeast corner of John Reese Parkway and West Broad Street at about 0.57 acres out of just under 3.5 total. The applicant is requesting approval of a conditional use to allow for the property to be developed with a motor vehicle garage for the repair and servicing of the vehicles. So the entire property is outlined here in yellow. We got West Broad Street out front to the south, John Reese Parkway to the west, and Richard Conine Street to the north. This little area shaded in red is where this proposed use will be located. You'll notice if you look at the agenda, both this application and the next two are all in relation to the same development on the whole parcel. So I'll start out with kind of a general overview of the whole site, and then we'll narrow our focus to each specific request. So as far as the whole site's concerned, the property was originally zoned B2 business district in what was the village of Pataskala since at least 1970. That became highway business when they amended their zoning districts. And then when the village and Lima Township merged to become the city, all that highway business became general business, the current zoning district. So the property is just under 3.5 acres. It has frontage on 3 right-of-ways like we talked about before. There's going to be 4 proposed lots. One of those is going to be a sit-down restaurant. That's permitted use. The second one's going to be the quick service vehicle maintenance facility, which is the conditional use we're talking about now. There'll be a further restaurant with a drive-through, which is the next conditional use application. And then the 4th lot is a Starbucks, which had their conditional use approved in January of this year. Here's just a quick little overview of the layout of each of the lots. Access, they're going to have shared access between the parcels numbers 1 and 2. That's going to have a full access to Richard Conine Street to the north and a right in, right out on the Broad. There's going to be shared access across the parking lots of all these uses on the south side of development. There's going to be 2 other full access onto Richard Conine Street for parcels 3 and 4. There's also going to be an additional 8-foot multi-use path added along West Broad Street, and then a 4-foot sidewalk along the south side of Richard Conine Street to the north. And there's an existing sidewalk on the east side of John Reese Parkway there already. Okay, so we got the shared access drive here, full access to the north to a right in, right out on the Broad, shared access through the south side of all the parking lots, 2 additional full accesses to the north, the addition of that multi-use path into the existing sidewalk, and then a new sidewalk on Richard Conine. So parcel number 1 is going to have 31 spaces. Parcel number 2 will have 9 plus a 2 vehicle wide drive-in lane to the structure. The third is going to have 34 spaces plus a drive-through with stacking and a bypass lane around the side. The 4th lot, which is the Starbucks, is going to have a dual lane drive-through that narrows to a single lane with additional space for stacking vehicles. Screening along the frontage, there's going to be a 3-foot mound with a shrub line on top and 14 shade trees, spaced 30 feet on center. Then 5 evergreen trees on the west side, transitioning to that existing screening on John Reese Parkway. On the west side, where John Reese is, there's the existing screening that's 10 shade trees, a 4-foot tall 3-rail white fence. And on the north side, where Richard Conine is, so for lots 1 to 2, there's going to be a 3-foot shrub line with 7 shade trees and 3 evergreen trees on the far east side. And for lots 3 to 4, they're going to go back up to that 3-foot mound with a shrub line on top, 10 shade trees, spaced 30 feet apart. Here's kind of an overview of the entire site's landscaping. So we got the mounding and shrubs and trees on the front, transitioning to that existing landscaping here, back up to the mound, and then down to the 3-foot landscaping with trees. Interior screening, so lot 1 is going to have just under 1,800 square feet with 9 trees. Lot 2 will have 703 square feet of landscape area with 4 trees. The 3rd lot will have 1,683 square feet with 9 trees. And the 4th lot will have 2,400 square foot of landscaped area with 10 additional trees. That's interior of the lot and parking area. Lighting, there's going to be 4 single pole lights, 1 at each entrance, 5 back-to-back pole lights for the parking area, and 4 additional single pole lights within that parking area as well, and 25 total building mounted lights spread across those 4 structures. The dumpster enclosures are going to be brick or block with 7 feet in height with a metal gate. Here's a look at the, they did a photometry plan, so this kind of shows the lighting of the whole site, and the light levels are indicated here. And here's a look at the proposed dumpster enclosures, so brick or masonry walls with a painted metal gate. So specific to this request, the proposed use is a quick service vehicle maintenance facility pursuant to section 1249.04 part 5. Any motor vehicle garage for the repair and servicing of motor vehicles is a conditional use of general business, with the additional caveat that all operations had to be conducted within an enclosed building. There shall be no open storage of wrecked vehicles, dismantled parts, or parts visible beyond the premises. So this will be on the second parcel. It's just over 0.5 acres. There's going to be a 1,470 square foot commercial structure that's about 100 feet from the south property line on Broad Street, more than 25 feet away from the west side, 10 feet from the east, and over 100 feet from the north side on Richard Conine, with 9 on-site parking spaces. One of those is going to be handicap accessible. There's is going to have a 2 vehicle wide access lane going to the structure with stacking space for up to 6 vehicles. There'll be 1 pole light at the entrance to Richard Conine Street, 1 building mounted light. The dumpster enclosure is going to be on the north side of the structure with doors opening to the north. There's going to be a shared access to the west, access to the north and south, access drive with a full access to Richard Conine, and the right in, right out to West Broad. Here's a close-in look at this site specifically. So we got the shared access drive structure over here. We'll have some parking down along the front with that access lane going into the structure here. And then here's a look at the landscaping kind of zoomed in specifically on this site. And then for this, I had to rotate it a bit, fit it in there. North would be to your right on the screen. So in the narrative statement that was submitted by the applicant, they stated the proposed use is a quick service oil change business. The applicant believes the proposed use will not be hazardous or disturbing to existing or future neighboring uses with proposed screening. They also believe the proposed use will be adequately served by all public facilities because of the increased connectivity with additional walking paths and the intersection improvements at John Reese and West Broad. They'd also be installing a traffic signal at John Reese and West Broad as part of this. So staff would offer the following comments. The comprehensive plan that was done in 2021, the future land use map actually recommends medium density residential. However, so the proposed use doesn't fall in line with the recommendations of that comprehensive plan. However, it already is to zone general business, which does allow for this use as a conditional use. Again, there's the caveat with that all operations have to be conducted within an enclosed building. There shall be no open storage of wrecked vehicles, dismantled parts, or parts visible beyond the premises. Property is also within the Transportation Corridor Overlay District, so prior to development, a TCOD application has to go to the Planning and Zoning Commission for review of the site layout. And then staff has reviewed the entirety of the proposed development and attached that list of comments to your staff report there. The highlighted sections in that staff review are the ones pertinent to this specific use. As part of the Starbucks conditional use approval, the condition was included that a traffic signal be installed at John Reese and West Broad with other improvements as necessary. The same potential condition was included with this request. And then again, for conditional uses pursuant to section 1215.09, conditional uses have to be carried out within 6 months of the date of approval. They may request an extension after that. Public Service Department had the following comments. They are more general engineering comments and don't pertain to the specific use, During the construction plan review process, the engineer will provide evidence that the existing storm pond has the required capacity for the additional volume. The utility department had the following comment. The waste reclamation facility has limited sewer capacity and will not hold sewer capacity. It'll only be given out once a PTI is issued from the Ohio EPA or if they get their zoning permit. The proposed motor vehicle garage will require a properly sized oil water separator for their sewer line, and a backflow device will be required for the water service. Didn't receive any comments from any other departments or agencies. Surrounding properties, you've got a mix of R10, high density residential, which is single family homes, and general business, which is currently undeveloped. On the east side, you have general business, which is the proposed sit down restaurant, and east of that's a bank. On the south side, you have R10 high density and R15 medium high density, which is single family homes. On the west side, across John Reese, you have general business, which is currently the proposed drive-through, which is up next, and then the Starbucks, and then undeveloped. Here are your findings of fact for conditional use. They're also printed in your staff report there. So should the board choose to approve the applicant's request, the following conditions may be considered. You have to address all comments from the Public Service Department, task the utilities and zoning staff. 2, the applicant shall carry out the conditional use within 6 months of the date of approval pursuant to section 1215.09. 3, a traffic signal including any other required intersection improvement shall be installed at the intersection of John Reese Parkway and West Broad Street. And 4, pursuant to section 1249.04 Part 5, all operations have to be conducted inside. No open storage of wrecked vehicles, parts, or parts visible beyond the premises. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Don't have any questions.
I mean, this also falls into all the grandfathered stuff with Starbucks about the traffic study and all that part as well, correct?
What was it about the grandfathered stuff?
Not necessarily grandfather, but I mean, it's the same thing as what we did with Starbucks as well, as far as the traffic study.
Yeah, so before anything were to basically we develop on this property, a traffic signal would have to be installed
Okay.
at that point, at that intersection.
Right, I know we have someone representing the ownership. And if we get the,
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony about the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
and name and address, please.
Sure. My name is Jerry Royce. I'm at 3951 Hammersmith Lane in Loveland, Ohio, 45140.
Thank you.
David Parker, 1706 Pheasant Hills Drive, Loveland, Ohio.
Very good. Mr. Royce, you, welcome back, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. It's been a little while, and appreciate your patience. Jerry Royce, I'm the owner of the T3 Development, and appreciate your time tonight, as always. And I think, as I've always said before, at T3, we pride ourselves in trying to do right by communicating all the time with staff and the municipalities that we do business in, and I think we've done that here. Tried to give you as much information as possible, not piecemealing it, bringing everything in at one time. We've been working on the project for over 2 years now, and we've really tried to get the right users for the development. We've gotten a lot of calls from some users, some retail users that really doesn't make a lot of sense. They probably have permitted use, but like used car lot sales, things like that, and it just doesn't make sense compared to what we're trying to put there with Starbucks and some national retailers. So we've worked hard with staff and really tried to bring together the best possible development here. And really trying to come up with a design that works for everyone, including the neighborhood, and try to be very mindful of the neighbors here. And you'll see that with the landscaping plan that we've come up with. As it's been stated before, we are going to put in the traffic signal. We committed to that. That is not cheap at all. It's almost $500,000 to do that. But we know it's needed for safety, and again, we committed to it, and it's something that's needed. So we're doing that. Some of the other things, the key features of what we're committing to here is, as staff said, we put an additional sidewalk, asphalt path, to make sure there's connections for the community for some of the uses that we have here. Additional buffering, on the north side there between the trees, both on Broad Street and Richard Conine. We included a mound there, those sorts of things. Again, trying to do our best to be good neighbors there. Dumpster enclosures, masonry, good screening, things like that. Additional landscape islands. Again, try to maximize that wherever we could in the design. And we've gone through a lot of dollars to make sure that there's details there to share with you. The lighting, we've done some lighting to try to minimize that as much as possible. And David can go through some details if need be. But again, in the end, we're trying to bring as much information to you, and then also get a lot of detail. Okay. And then David, I don't know if you want.
Yeah, and just real briefly, we do greatly appreciate your time this evening, and staff's time over the last months to kind of send stuff to them, get feedback, and really try to incorporate those things. Even the comments that we got during this staff report, we've actually incorporated this in drawings instead of confusing getting other secondary information after we kind of have those, but we've already incorporated those into the plan, some of them. We're here tonight just for the two, as Jack said, two conditional uses and the variance, which are two variances in there. And we can talk about those in details. If you have questions, we'd be more than happy to answer any questions as you get through there on those. They're all important for this to to really kind of, to make sure that we can do that, do what we said that we can do. So we're very, very much, that's what we want to do is make this a great development for, and get the traffic signal there for the community. So, big time.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Any questions for Mr. Parker or
Jump up
Mr. Royce?
anytime, we can-
Yeah, no, I don't, right
Nope,
now.
I don't have.
Thank you.
I don't have any other speaker for us. Is there anyone else who wants to speak on this? Please.
Swear affirm the testimony about the street, closer to the street, so.
And can I get your name and address, please?
Steve Fisher, 331 Isaac Street, Pataskala.
Okay.
I guess a couple of my concerns is that I kind of was out of the picture after the Starbucks thing happened. And now we're developing 3 businesses in this parcel. And I noticed that we're also allowing a right turn on Broad Street out of the development. I take it we need the back, because I'm worried about the access into the right turn lane into John Reed, into the settlements of Pataskala. So I noticed that they have a right turn out of there now. Earlier on, they weren't gonna allow that right turn on Broad Street.
Actually, from the beginning, we always had a right in, right out in there. The question was where it was going to be located on that turn lane going into John Reese. And so there was more work that had to be done and with the traffic study and all. And so, yes, it has been moved closer to,
To the bank.
yeah, thank you. Closer to the bank. So to take it out of that turn lane, which is something we were concerned about. But yeah, that has been addressed.
Okay, because I'm basically going down a lot from the bank. We're gonna have basically an oil change place,
Well, your first thing is a sit-down restaurant,
sit down.
which we're not even discussing because that's a permitted use. That one's allowed. Then the way it's laid out here is an oil change place,
Oil
yes.
change place, and then another restaurant that has a drive-through.
Correct.
And then the Starbucks.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
It just it seems like a lot of heavy use in a small area.
Well, it's all within the zoned plots that, I mean, it's as far as space and usage. So I understand what you're saying, and I know the first time I received anything, I said, yeah, that doesn't seem like, but when you drive by, there is a lot of land there. It's just that the way, because nothing's been on it, we all kind of take it for granted, I think.
And then another concern is is there just gonna be a traffic light, stop sign for traffic flow from Richard Conway onto John Reed? Is that just gonna say a stop sign?
There won't be, there is no plans at this time to put a light there.
Okay,
Yeah.
so basically, the traffic on John Reed there won't be an additional stop sign for them to come.
No, they just have the stop light, which was really stressed by a lot of your
Right.
neighbors in the
Yeah,
beginning, yeah,
and that's what I was
Yeah.
going up once
Right.
we get away from there.
right.
I've seen a lot of developments where they have these turn lanes off of, and then they have these restaurants, back roads, which this will end up being.
Yeah.
And it ends up being a traffic nightmare right there once you get at that point. And
Understand, and that's all taken into consideration with the traffic study.
okay,
Thank you.
Mhm.
Did you have something, man? Did you,
Well, I own the 3 properties across the road they're looking at.
okay.
And,
Well, if you want to testify, I'm gonna have you come up and get sworn in.
Sorry about that, guys. I'm Pamela Parkinson.
You swear or affirm the testimony about the truth, the whole truth,
Yes,
and nothing but the truth,
yes.
so help you God.
And if I could have your name and address, please.
My name is Pamela Sue Parkinson. I'm at 204 South Township Road. I own the 3 houses across the street from what they're talking about.
Okay.
I don't see any big problem about it. What happened to the assisted living thing? Is that out or is that still?
Well, that's on a separate piece of land.
Is that closer to First Federal?
No, that's closer to here.
Across from 84.
More or less, yes. I was at the far west, almost going into Heron Manor, but that has since expired and they're not moving forward on that.
Okay, because they've been talking about it. That's why I wasn't sure where all this was gonna go and all that.
No, it's a good question.
Yeah.
And I'd be
I'm not
concerned.
against anything. The only thing I can say is please speak up. I'm getting old and I can't hear so well.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Parkinson.
Sorry.
Okay, do we have any additional discussion concerning the oil change,
No.
which is conditional use 25-004, and I'll just jump into findings of fact. One, is in fact a conditional use as established under the provisions of Title III of the Planning and Zoning Code for the specific zoning district of the parcel listed in the application. Comfortable that that's a yes.
Yes.
Two, will be harmonious with and in accordance with the general objectives or with any specific objective of the city comprehensive plan and this code, and I think it will be. I mean, that's all general business, and this all fits into that.
Yes.
So you're comfortable with yes. Three, will be designed, constructed, operated, and maintained so as to be harmonious in appearance with the existing or intended character of the general vicinity, and such that it will not change the essential character of the same area. It will change from what it is today. It will be designed, constructed, and operated, maintained. I'm comfortable with yes on that. It's the intent, I guess as you're coming down, from the convenience store to the bank, I think I'd be comfortable with yes on this.
I agree.
Yeah, okay.
4, will not be hazardous or disturbing to existing or future neighboring uses. And I think that, yes, it will not.
Yes, it will not be.
Okay. 5, will be served adequately by essential public facilities and services such as highways, streets, police and fire, drainage structures, refuse disposal, water and sewer, and schools, or that the persons or agencies responsible for the establishment of the proposed shall be able to provide adequately any such service. So I would say yes. 6, will not create excessive or additional requirements at public cost for public facilities and services and will not be detrimental to the economic welfare of the community. I think yes, it will not, and they're actually adding to it by putting in that light. So 6 is yes. 7, will not involve uses, activities, processes, materials, equipment, or conditions of operations that will be detrimental to any person's property or the general welfare, including but not limited to excessive production of traffic, noise, fumes, smoke, glare, odor, potential for explosion, and air or water pollution. And I'm going to say, it will not. So yes, it will not. Okay. 8, will have vehicular approaches to the property, which shall be so designed so as not to create interference with traffic on surrounding public thoroughfares. And I believe that has been designed as such.
Agreed.
Yes. And 9, will not result in destruction, loss, or damage of natural, scenic, or historic feature of major importance. And there is no historic feature there. So it's a yes.
There's a big tree.
Big tree?
Big tree.
Big tree. Fence. Okay, so conditional use 25-004, I have yes for all 9 questions. That being said, any other discussion? Hearing none, can we go to a motion?
I move to approve the conditional use request for application CU-25-004 with the following conditions. Number 1, the applicant shall address all comments from the Public Service Department, Pataskala Utilities Department, and Planning and Zoning staff. 2, the applicant should carry out the conditional use within 6 months of the date of approval pursuant to section 1215.09 of the Pataskala Code. 3, the traffic study, including any and all required intersection improvements, shall be installed at the intersection of John Rice Parkway and West Broad Street. 4, the applicant pursuant to section 1249.04 of the Pataskala Code, all operations shall be conducted within a fully enclosed building, and there shall not be any open storage of wrecked vehicles, dismantled parts, or parts visible beyond the premises.
Motion, can I get a second?
Second?
Okay, just for discussion, clarification, I think you mentioned a traffic study. The 3 should be a traffic signal.
No,
So we want to be sure that they get the signal with us. And I'm sure that's what you meant.
that's what I meant.
Okay, thank you. We got a motion, we got a second, can I get a roll?
Mr. Danderian,
Yes.
Mr. Cooper,
Yes?
Mr. Howe.
Yes. Thank you. Conditional use 25-004 has been approved. We can move right on to 25-005.
All right, so relatively the same location, except for this one, they're requesting approval of conditional use to allow for the property to be developed with a drive-through, or a restaurant with a drive-through. So again, looking at the same property, however, we're looking at parcel number 3 now, directly adjacent to the west of what we just talked about. For this specific one, it is a restaurant with a drive-through, which pursuant to section 1249-04 part 18 is a conditional use in the GB district. This proposed parcel is just under an acre in size. It's going to be occupied by a 2,330 square foot commercial structure, 95 feet from the south property line on Broad Street, 125 from the west and east of the internal property lines, and 78 feet from the north on Richard Conine. 34 spaces are provided on site, including 2 handicap accessible ones. There's going to be the shared access to the east and west through the parking area, plus another full access to Richard Conine Street to the north, and a drive-through lane on the west side of the structure with an additional bypass lane around it. There's going to be 3 back-to-back pole lights in the parking area, 2 single pole lights, the access to Richard Conine in one in the drive-through, and then 4 building lights on the proposed structure. The dumpster enclosure here is going to be on the northwest side, adjacent to the drive-through, with the gates opening towards the east. So here's a close-in look at the proposed site plan here. And then a closer look at the landscaping plan for this specific site. So in the narrative statement, the applicant stated the proposed use is a quick service restaurant with a drive-through. It did not specify a specific user. A traffic signal is going to be installed at John Reese and West Broad Street. The applicant stated that they believe the vehicular approach to the property will be designed to not create interference on surrounding thoroughfares with the improvements to the intersection and proposed accesses. They also believe the use will not be hazardous to existing or future neighboring uses. As part of our review, staff would offer the following comments. Again, future land use map recommends B density residential. However, it is currently zoned GB, which allows for this as a conditional use. Property is also within TCOD, so it'll next have to go to the Planning and Zoning Commission for site layout review. We have the full list of staff comments attached to your staff report there. The highlighted ones in this staff report are the ones for this specific use. As part of the conditional use for Starbucks, and the last one now was a condition included that a traffic signal be installed at John Reese and West Broad. And again, conditional uses had to be carried out within 6 months of the date of approval, and then get 1 extension. Public Service Director had the same comment, just to make sure that that pond they're draining to can accept that. And again, the water reclamation facility has limited capacity. We're not going to guarantee it. It only comes available once they get their PTI or zoning permit, and that they'll need a backflow device from the water service. Didn't receive any comments from any departments or agencies. Surrounding properties have all stayed relatively the same. Findings of fact for conditional use are, of course, printed in your staff report. So should the board choose to approve the applicant's request, following conditions may be considered. Address all comments from the Public Service Department, Utility Department, Planning and Zoning staff. Applicant has to carry out the conditional use within 6 months of the date of approval, and that a traffic signal has to be installed at West Broad and John Reese Parkway. And if you have any questions about this specific use, I'd be happy to answer them.
I have no questions.
No questions.
Okay. Mr. Royce, Mr. Parker, did you want to? We got you sworn in. You're stuck.
Not a lot to add to that, other than we are talking to several users that are interested in being here. particularly next to the users that we have here. What's been tough is they want to understand to make sure before they spend time and energy and money, to make sure that it is an acceptable use. So we've got a lot of activity on that. It's something that we'd like to represent so that we can inform some of these users.
Great. Thank you.
Do you feel pretty good about the footprint then? I mean, because you don't know the user, right? So I don't know.
Yeah,
if the
so
footprint's gonna-
within reason, yes. It could change slightly, but our experience has been that, they're 2,000, 1,800 square feet to 2,300 square feet buildings. And, location of the drive-through is about the same, and then a bypass lane, so on and so forth. So you're right, it could change slightly depending on the user, but for the most part, I think that's a good representation of what we're going to look at.
Thanks.
Any discussion? If not, I'll go.
Has there been any comment about, I mean, looking at the layout, I don't know if there's any much you could do about it, about the three different, and this is not part of the thing, but three different entrances coming off of, what's that,
Conan?
Rice, Conan? Yeah, Richard Conan?
On the north,
Yeah,
like the 3 full accesses.
yeah.
I mean, it's pretty much surveyed as an access road, low traffic counting.
Okay.
Didn't really see any points of conflict there when the public service department looked at it.
Okay.
Okay. Findings of fact, conditional use 25-0051. Come on. Sure.
I guess I have one concern is that we have two properties that are going to be on this parcel that are drive-throughs. The amount of traffic, how much traffic it's going to generate. And we don't even know what the second drive-through is going to be.
That's correct.
So that's
Yeah.
a concern.
Very good. Thank you. Okay. Is in fact a conditional use or established under the provisions of Title III of the Planning and Zoning Code for the specific zoning district of the parcel listed on the application. We'll put yes for that. Will be harmonious with and in accordance with the general objectives or with specific objective of the city comprehensive plan and or this code. I'm gonna leave it as yes because of it being zoned general business.
Yeah.
3, will be designed, constructed, operated, maintained so as to be harmonious in appearance with the existing or intended character of the general vicinity, and that such use will not change the essential character of the same area.
Yeah.
Yes. 4, will not be hazardous or disturbing to existing or future neighboring uses. Yes. 5, will be served adequately by essential public facilities and services such as highways, streets, police and fire, drainage structures, refuse disposal, water and sewer, and schools, or that the persons or agencies responsible for the establishment of the proposed shall be able to provide adequately any such services. So, yes. 6, will not create excessive additional requirements at public cost for the public facilities and services and will not be detrimental to the economic welfare of the community. Yes, again, they're at their cost, putting in the traffic light. 7, will not involve uses, activities, processes, materials, equipment, and conditions of operations that will be detrimental to any person, property, or the general welfare, including but not limited to excessive production of traffic, noise, smoke, fumes, glare, odor, potential for explosions, and water or air pollution.
Yeah.
So yes. 8, will not or will have vehicular approaches to the property, which shall be so designed so as not to create interference with traffic on surrounding public thoroughfares. That's a yes. 9, will not result in destruction, loss, or damage of a natural, scenic, or historic feature of major importance. So again, yes on that. So I have yes for all 9 questions on conditional use 25-005. That being said, any other discussion? If not, can I get a motion?
I move to approve a conditional use request for application CU-25-005 with the following conditions. The applicant shall address all comments from the Public Service Department, Pataskala Utilities Department, and the Planning and Zoning staff. The applicant shall carry out the conditional use within 6 months from the date of approval pursuant to section 1215.09 of the Pataskala Code. And a traffic signal, including any other required intersection improvements, shall be installed at the intersection of John Reese Parkway and West Broad Street.
Thank you. Got a motion? Can I get a second?
Second.
And a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll please.
Mr. Howe,
Yes.
Mr. Dandrin,
Yes.
Mr. Hubert.
Yes.
All right, conditional use 25-005 has been approved as presented. And I believe we have variance application 25-022.
Correct. So still talking about the same location here, but zooming out on a scale as far as the whole development goes. They're requesting approval of 2 variances. The first is from section 1249.05G to allow for 2 garbage dumpsters to be located at what would be the front yard, and one from section 1259.05 part G4A to allow for the distance between the building and the parking area to be less than the minimum requirement. So again, we're talking about the development as a whole now. So as part of our review, staff was offered the following comments. The property is also, again, it's within the Transportation Corridor Overlay District. Prior to development, they have to have a TCOD application, go to the Planning and Zoning Commission for review of the site layout. As part of that, there's a couple things that the Planning and Zoning Commission can actually just approve even if they don't meet city code. But it's very restrictive. It's only setbacks, perimeter screening, and the number of parking spaces being provided. Any other item that doesn't meet Pataskala code has to get a variance. That's why we're here. There's 2 aspects of proposed design that do not meet the Pataskala code, do not fall under those the Planning and Zoning Commission's ability to approve as proposed. The first one is from section 1249.05G. That's for all that states that all trash and garbage containers shall not be located in front yards. So in 1249.05C4, the same minimum setback shall be observed from all street right-of-ways as required for the front yard. In GB, the front yard setback is 50 feet. So since they have frontage on 3 sides, West Broad Street, John Reese Parkway, and Richard Conine Street, they technically have 3 front yards, 50 feet deep. 2 of those dumpsters enclosures, the ones for parcel number 1 and 3, are located within that 50-foot setback at 31.01 feet, 30 feet respectively. The request is to allow the container systems on those parcels to be located within the front yard. At its closest at 30 feet, that's a reduction of 20 feet or 40%. So here's the 2 dumpsters in question that will be what is within technically considered the front yard as they are fronting on Richard Conine Street to the rear. The applicant, in regards to this one, stated that they believe there's a unique physical condition present as the property must observe the front yard setback from the southwest and rear property lines. The applicant believes proposed requests will not negatively affect the surrounding properties and that the enclosures themselves will be constructed of brick or masonry with painted metal gates and further screened by the proposed perimeter screening. The second variance request is from section 1259.05G4A, which states that a minimum distance of 8 feet shall be maintained between any building, including any walkway thereto, and the parking area. This space to be occupied by plant material. So parcel number 1, that's the west side of the structure. The second parcel is the north and south sides of the structure. And on parcels 3 and 4, it's the east, south, and west sides of the structure. The applicant has requested variance from this section to allow for those that do not meet code there. Here's a look at those specifically. So again, west side of the structure, the north and south, parcel 2, east, south, and west, and parcels 3 and 4. So in regards to this request, the applicant stated they believe the request is necessary for the proposed uses to function as a drive-through. The proposed uses such as the drive-throughs to function. The applicant believes proposed request is not substantial, and that the spirit, intent, and zoning code would be observed by providing additional landscaping in other areas instead of next to the buildings and reducing long stretches of parking spaces. Didn't receive any comments from any other departments or agencies. Surrounding properties obviously remain the same there. Here are your findings of fact for an area variance. They're also printed in your staff report there. And so should the board choose to approve the applicant's request, following conditions may be considered. Address all comments from the city engineer, public service department, utility department, and the planning and zoning staff, that they have to obtain the necessary permits from the city within 1 year of the date of approval. And if you have any questions, if you have to answer those.
We're addressing the dumpsters because of the front of the building setback
Yes.
and being in the front of the building.
Yeah, technically they're in the front yard.
And so technically they have more than one front yard.
Correct.
So, okay.
Kind of the same deal as the fence from before.
No. But if you look at the Broad Street as the front, then they're in the backyard.
Yeah. Yeah, just the way the code's written is that anytime you're adjacent to a public right of way, you have to observe the same setback as required for the front yard.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. Mr. Royce, Mr. Parker, do you have anything to add?
Sure. I think you said it properly. There's really not an easy place to put the dumpsters.
Right.
Obviously, we don't want to put it along Broad Street. Again, putting it, we're trying to adhere to the setback as much as possible and work with the users here. We're screening them well, and obviously we're putting in some extra landscaping, things like that. So
Yep.
there's really no easy place to put it. We're just trying to do the best we can here.
Gotcha. Thank you.
In the construction, then we're going to be of masonry construction. Brick veneer or split face architectural block.
Right.
With architectural themes. It just dresses it up in a match closer to the buildings so that it doesn't stand out. It's not a wood fence, it won't be wood
Right.
gates.
Right.
Trying to take the step up on it.
Thank you.
Should we talk about the other variants?
Which,
You want to talk about the second part of the request?
Sure.
Yeah, the second part of the request as far as the landscaping, again, we tried to trade off some things here. Number one, as stated before, we have beefed up the landscaping throughout the development. This is a variance that we need from the standpoint of the economics. And the other thing too is we tried to do our homework and looked at our neighbors, and it seems like there's been some variances granted for this before. And so we're trying not to overreach or anything like that. We're just trying to, again, bring in the development as a whole and give all the information we can.
thank you. Any questions, Mr. Royce? Parker?
Nope.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Fisher, do you have anything did you want to?
No.
Very good. That being said, any other discussion? If not, I'll go to findings of fact. For variance application 25022, A, whether the property in question will yield a reasonable return, or if there can be beneficial use of the property. Of course, that's what they're trying to develop. B, whether there are unique physical circumstances or conditions that prohibit the property being developed in strict conformity with the zoning regulations such that a variance is necessary to enable the reasonable use of the property. And there's several conditions with the multiple front and the size of the properties and the layout with the drive-through. So I'm going to say yes.
Yes.
C, whether the variance requested is substantial. Thoughts?
Was it 40%, wasn't it?
Well, we're going from 50 to 30 on the one, so, but I think that the landscaping one is technically substantial because it's taking away the whole thing. So I'm going to say yes, it
So
is.
yes.
D, whether the essential character of the neighborhood would substantially be altered or adjoining properties properties would suffer a substantial detriment as a result of the variance. Let's see where they would.
Say no.
No.
E, whether the variance if granted will substantially or permanently impair the appropriate use or development of adjacent property. No. Nope. Infringe on that. F, whether the variance if granted will be detrimental to the public welfare. Don't see any negative there. G, whether the variance if granted would adversely affect the delivery of government services. No on that. H, whether the property owner purchases a property with knowledge of the zoning restriction. I'm going to say they are pretty well versed on all our zoning restrictions right now. We can say yes. I, whether the property owner's predicament can be obviated through some other method than variance. In this case, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Say no. J, whether the variance if granted will represent the minimum variance that will afford relief and represent the least modification possible of the requirement at issue. Comfortable with yes on that?
Yeah.
Okay. And K, whether the spirit and intent behind the zoning requirement would be observed and substantial justice done by granting this variance. And I think I'm comfortable with yes on that.
Agree.
Okay, so findings of fact, variance 25-022. You got yes for A, B, C, H, J, and K, and I got no for D, E, F, G, and I. Any other discussion? If not, can we get a motion?
I move to approve the two variances requests for application VA-25-022 with the following conditions. One, the applicant shall address all comments from the city engineer, public service department, Pataskala Utilities Department, and planning and zoning staff. Two, the applicant shall obtain all necessary permits from the city of Pataskala within 1 year of the date of approval.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion. And roll, please.
Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. Vanderian?
Yes.
Mr. Howe?
Yes. Variance application 25-022 has been accepted. As read.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're all welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, but certainly not obligated.
Appreciate it.
See you, no problem.
Hey, we have nobody to excuse our absence. How about that? All right. Well, I guess I should do findings of fact first. All right, I'd like to move to accept the findings of fact as discussed for variance application 25-017. Can I get a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll, please.
Mr. Vanderian?
Yes.
Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. Howe?
Yes. Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to accept the findings of fact for variance application 25-018 as discussed earlier. Can I get a second?
I'll second that.
And a second. Any discussion? Roll, please.
Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. Vanderian?
Yes.
Mr. Howe?
Yes. Variance application 25-018 findings of fact have been accepted. I'd like to move to accept the findings of fact variance application 25-019. And I get a second.
Second.
And any discussion? Roll, please.
Mr. Howe?
Yes.
Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. Vanderian?
Yes.
Thank you. I'd like to move to accept findings of fact for conditional use 25-004 as discussed. Second.
Second.
And any discussion? Roll, please.
Mr. Vanderian?
Yes.
Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. Howe?
Yes. Findings of fact, conditional use 25-004 have been accepted. I'd like to move to accept the findings of fact for conditional use 25-005 as discussed earlier.
Second.
We got a second? Any discussion? Roll, please.
Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. Vanderian?
Yes.
Mr. Howe?
Yes, conditional use 25-005 accepted as presented. Okay, and I'd like to make a motion to approve variance application 25-022, as we just discussed. Can I get a second?
The findings of fact, you
Did I say findings of fact?
did not,
Findings of
but I
fact.
will say second.
Thank you. Thank you. Vote, any discussion? Roll, please.
Mr. Howe?
Yes.
Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. Vanderand?
Yes.
Thank you. We've approved the findings of fact for variance application 25-022. All right. Then, everyone should have received minutes. Any edits, additions, deletions? If not, I'd like to make a motion to accept the minutes for the July 8th meeting as presented. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. Motion is second. Any discussion? And roll, please.
Mr. Vanderand?
Yes.
Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. Howe?
Yes, minutes from the July 8th meeting have been accepted as presented. Very good. And I'd like to move to adjourn this meeting to our next scheduled meeting on September 9th. Can I get a second?
Second.
And any discussion? Roll, please.
Mr. Howe?
Yes,
Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. Vanderand?
Yes.
you, meeting adjourned. Wow.